Judge and timer ready? Thank you. B, bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S, B. Bananas. A lot of things in our lives are completely bananas. Politics, people who drive 30 in a 45, competing in extemp. And while we may laugh at this fruit, the impact of the familiar banana is unforgettable. Today, we will peel back the origin of the banana, split open the underlying history of this staple fruit, and watch how bananas continue to shape our culture. Before we slip into all things bananas, let's clear up some terminology. Contrary to popular belief, bananas don't grow on trees. Bananas are actually the world's largest herb, some plants growing up to 30 feet. They're classified as herbs because the stem of the plant doesn't contain woody tissue. Bananas are among the first cultivated crops, originally sprouting in Southeast Asia. In 327 BCE, Arab conquerors transported the seeds from Asia Minor to Africa. For hundreds of years, the banana species flourished. According to National Geographic, there are over 1,000 varieties of bananas. Fuzzy bananas, blue bananas, bananas that taste like strawberries. Eventually, 15th century explorers carried the seeds to the Caribbean. During our Industrial Revolution, businessmen Preston and Keith began importing bananas to the United Fruit Company, now known as Chiquita. However, this first banana is not the same banana that we eat today. According to Dan Koppel, author of his cleverly named book, Banana, Gros Michel were the first bananas to hit American markets. Our current fruit is called the Cavendish. We'll go into more why there was a switch later. As the American public fell in love with this fruit, companies aimed to sell bananas for half the price of apples, even though apples grew everywhere in the US, and bananas had to be shipped thousands of miles and would go bad in 2 weeks. Yet, in the early 1900s, according to Koppel, bananas were 25 cents per dozen compared to the 150 of apples and were matching their sales. How is this exotic fruit sold for such a low price? Turns out, behind the bright exterior of this popular fruit is a dark and unappealing history. In order to produce bananas at a low cost came at a high price for Latin America. According to Vox, the phrase banana republic originated from how American companies forced countries to become monocrop producers by bribing budding government officials with offers they couldn't refuse. As a result, competing banana companies had established plantations and railways in several Central American countries by the early 1900s. And in order for America to make a profit off of low-cost bananas, these companies went to unimaginable lengths. According to the United Fruit Historical Society, in 1910, Samuel Zemerby's military coup succeeded at placing a puppet dictator in Honduras, which allowed him to continue to grow cheap bananas. 1929, U.S. ambassadors in the Colombian Army orchestrated a massacre where between 1,000 to 3,000 United Fruit workers and civilians were murdered coming out of Sunday mass, workers who were protesting to gain better working conditions and higher pay. Their bodies were then thrown into the ocean. 1954, the U.S. government effectively replaces the democratically elected leader of Guatemala over a potential threat to the banana industry. Because of their new leader, Guatemala faces 30 years of right-wing leadership and eventually the Mayan genocide. Meanwhile, Panama disease and Sigatoka spread across the Gros Michel crop. Companies were panicked and started searching for a replacement. Standard Fruit, now Dole, was the first to switch over to the Cavendish in the 1940s, with United Fruit following 2 decades later. Gros Michel was wiped out by 1960. The Cavendish didn't taste as great as its former, but it was the only fitting substitute immune to Panama disease. Bananas are so susceptible to infection because they reproduce asexually, which means each new generation has the exact genetic copy as a crop before them. All seemed swell until the 90s, when the newly planted Cavendish in Malaysia started dying to tropical race 4, a descendant of Panama disease. See, the bananas that had been growing in Malaysia for thousands of years were resistant to this existing disease, but the foreign Cavendish had no such evolution. Through careless mass production and the lack of diversity, race 4 has jumped to Africa in the matter of 20 years. And according to Copel and banana scientists, it is not a matter of if this disease will strike our banana crops, but when. And once it reaches Central America, it will only be decades before our cheap banana is gone. The banana, your go-to snack when you're in a rush, has forever shaped the history of Latin America and is shining a light on all monocrop industries. While bananas have left their mark on the stairs of history, let's slide down the banana stairs and unpack the banana in our culture. When marketing the banana to American women, the industry advertised properly dressed Victorian ladies holding bananas, showing that it was morally acceptable for us females to eat a banana because, of course, even eating can be interpreted as unbecoming. Furthermore, the banana industry advertised Miss Chiquita, a feminine banana explaining when to eat the banana and what foods to combine it with. And while we mindlessly toss away our banana peels, in other parts of the globe, people are revolutionizing the way we use the uneaten parts of the banana. According to Fashion United, since the 13th century, Japan has been using banana fiber as a cotton or silk substitute. The company Sati produces hygiene pads for women's menstruation out of banana fibers. By locally sourcing banana stems, Sati supports India's economy while creating a sustainable and zero-waste method of producing a necessary product for women. Looking globally, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, bananas are the 4th most produced crop in the world. Over 100 million people in Africa and 450 million worldwide rely on bananas as their staple crop. To combat the diseases affecting bananas, many are proposing genetic engineering. Speculations aside, scientist Ronnie Swenin has proved its worth by feeding thousands of Rwandan genocide survivors. By selectively growing nutritious and disease-resistant bananas in the hunger-stricken region, his modified fruit benefited 500,000 African people. Over 100 billion bananas are eaten annually. Considering the fruit's popularity combined with the worldwide problems of food waste, we must learn to live sustainably. It can start with the banana. Today, we peeled back the origin of the banana, split open the underlying history of the staple fruit, and watched how bananas continue to shape our culture. And while we have Gwen Stefani to thank for teaching us how to spell bananas, let us not let humor cloud history. So when you go home tonight, after another long forensics tournament, and see the bananas in your kitchen, think of how this fruit has changed the world. Bananas, a symbol for inappropriate humor, extreme loss, and the potential to make a difference.